Hello everyone! Welcome to the past. Welcome to Dungeon Siege. This is a game that I quite enjoyed a long time ago when I was very, very small. Not too small, but yeah, this is a game where you go around just killing things and looting, and it was an epic adventure at the time, and it is still an epic adventure now. This game was released on Steam, I think about a year ago, after being out of, consumption, out of the stores for such a long time. This is an old game. I can't believe it's been this long since I played it, but I would have played it sooner. Unfortunately, Steam had some serious problems with the game, and I couldn't actually get it to run, and this was a problem for a lot of people. We could not play this game. It is working now, and, well, let's just... This game is frickin' awesome. So Dungeon Siege is well, it's similar to Baldur's Gate. If you've ever played Baldur's Gate or Icewind Dale, it is a very similar game. How similar? Well, you've got the ability to freeze time and strategize, and the music even pauses when you do that. Bane is now playing Left 4 Dead 2. That's good to know. In addition to this, you have multiple characters you can get. At the start, you start out with your own character. Just the character that you create. You get to create your own character, which is pretty cool. So basically, you are a farmer, and you start out right here, and, your friend dies. Your friend who you've lived with and, have helped out your entire life as far as you know. And the Krug, which are like a race of orc people, they just decide out of nowhere to attack. And as you can see here, they have attacked. Now this is the beginning of the game. This is like the first area of the game. And what's fascinating about this game is the entire adventure persists along a long, linear path. And normally I hate games that do that, but this game does everything so well. It was easier for people to get into than Baldur's Gate or Icewind Dale. And considerably better graphics, only because, there's 3D and shit like that. And at the time, this was at the peak of technology. It's a little less so now. And these enemies really, they don't pose as big a threat as they would, typically. But I'm kicking their ass. I'm good. There we go. Okay, so we got some tattered leather from them. Got some blunt dagger and some health potions. We should use the health potions in a moment here. I forgot. I don't think there's a way to hotbar them. So we're just going to drink it like that, because screw it. So this game is a lot of fun. And as you can see, I'm gaining skill and dexterity there, which is ranged abilities and such. It's a lot of fun. I mean, it's very simple, but it's just something about it. It's so nostalgic for me, and just coming back into it, it's just bringing up all these memories. It's like, you could really get lost in this game, and feel accomplished, and all that stuff. There's a Gurmel there. They're like gerbil hamster thingies. They just run around. There's actually like a giant Gurmel somewhere, and I forgot where you find him, but you basically go around, and I think the only damning part about this game is there's no alternating path. Everything you do, everyone else who's ever played the game will always have already done. You cannot find anything new in this game. The only difference was that there was multiplayer, which is unfortunate because the multiplayer is no longer supported. It hasn't been supported in ages, but yeah, you can't... Oh, hi, I hear you. Where are you? Oh, there you are. Yeah, so you can't play multiplayer anymore. I mean, I'm sure you could do some wizardry to try to get it to play in a local, co-op or whatever. But I don't know how to do that, and nor would I care to do that. I enjoyed this game single player. I'm not saying it would be terrible multiplayer. It'd be fascinating multiplayer, but it's just a really, really fun game to get back into. I'm so happy it's working now. I know the graphics are a little bit ugly now, but let me tell you, this shit was amazing at the time. Attack! Shit. Just shoot him. I normally like to play a spell sword in this game, but I figured since I'm going back into it, I'd play an archer with a little bit of, you know, healing magic and things like that. There's two types of magic. There's destruction and there's healing, or green magic, as I would call it. Green magic. Green magic is like nature stuff, and I think you get a few animal summons with it, but they're not as strong as the destruction magic, which has like skeletons and monsters and I think shadows, and you get fireball and shit like that. Oh, we got a Krug dog. There we go. Funny story about this game. Some people may see this video and be like, wait a minute, wasn't there a movie called Dungeon Siege? And there were, I think there was more than one. Yeah, there was a movie called Dungeon Siege, and unfortunately it was a failed attempt at replicating the game's story. It basically, the movie starts out very similar to the game until they get to the bridge scene, without giving any spoilers. I honestly hate the movie. It's a terrible movie. It is not, and it's mostly a terrible movie because they didn't have a concept of what the game was. Uwe Boll does not know how to. He doesn't know how to make a movie. Period. I'm sorry. He can't make a movie. He made something that he thought would pass, and it does this franchise a great injustice. Then again, the third game kind of did that as well, so I don't know. If you're out of curiosity, if you want to see the movie, it is watchable. It's just, in terms of a Dungeon Siege universe, it doesn't match up. It just doesn't. This game was just so epic when it came out, and I like to call it a sleeper hit, because, again, a lot of people didn't have an interest. I mean, the internet wasn't as big as it was, so looking at it and being like, oh, yeah, everyone's playing this game. No, not everyone was playing this game. That's something to admit. And, I mean, not every RPG is something everyone wants to get into, either. This is a particular taste game, you know? It's like, I love Morrowind, but I hate Final Fantasy. There's people who... I mean, I'm not saying I hate Final Fantasy. I'm saying I dislike the style of Final Fantasy games. I've only ever played, was it a little bit of Final Fantasy VI, and I beat 7, and Final Fantasy Tactics. And the Game Boy versions don't count, but those are the only Final Fantasy games I played. I dislike the majority of Final Fantasy games because they're all just, they feel so stiff and lifeless, and then again, somebody might look at this game and be like, I don't like this, you know, this is complicated, this is weird, you know, why are these things happening? But, you know, to each his own. To each his own. I mean, everyone has a different taste in games. That's your right. So we're gonna cast that on ourselves. We're cool like that. So basically I'm going for a standard ranger build. I'm giving myself, you know, green magic. We have a history of the Crypts book, which I don't really care for there. So we got an advanced spell, that's good to have. I'm giving myself nature magic here, the green magic, because I want to be able to heal myself and my party members, but I also want to hit hard from a range. It would be nice to level up my melee a bit, otherwise I'm going to get outscaled in weapons as the game goes on. If you really mess up, you won't be able to equip everything you could possibly equip. Like, you'll end up keeping this dagger or whatever, and you'll be really upset with yourself. But I'm going to attempt here to keep my melee skill at least, you know, a few levels behind the archery, because the archery is mainly what I'm using. You don't typically even need a melee weapon. Another thing that hurts this game is that you can't go back. Like, once you go a certain distance in the game, no enemies respawn. I don't know if they fixed it in the Steam version, or if there was an update when I last played the game, because that's a possibility here. I had the disc version for the longest time. I still have the disc version somewhere. I'm just not using it because I bought this on Steam, and I haven't been able to find it, so that's another reason. But, I have to wonder if there was an update that respawned enemies or whatever. It would be nice. I mean, this isn't a game that I really disliked going back and replaying, but, you know, it was kind of sad when you realize there wasn't much else to it. This Krug are just gonna wail away on me here. It's cool that I can just point-blank shoot and kill them. Yeah. That's enjoyable. I like not being able to have to be a certain distance to shoot, because they just run up to you for the most part. I mean, there's more difficult enemies as the game goes on. You'll start fighting large creatures and all sorts of monsters. Another reason I was really upset about the movie when that came out was, oh yeah, there's this entire crypt area, and there's all these fucking undead, and it gets really the game gets really creepy at that point. And there's traps and all this stuff going on, and the movie didn't have that. Oh, it's the bear. This is like the first boss, per se. Oh, hi. Hit you some magic. I don't really think that's that effective. You know, we actually should let it hit us, if it can. I'd like to be able to heal myself. I don't do jack shit for damage. He's barely scratching me. I don't remember the game being this easy. Well, it will get harder. Even if it doesn't. I'm a better gamer than I was back then. Yeah, literally just sit here and let him take damage. And I know there's a lot of people that would argue that this kind of combat isn't very fun, but you have to remember what era of gaming this came out of. It is really rewarding as you play, and the bear is now dead. Oh, that's right, he gives you that first, like, magic gear. That's cool. This is, like, very Diablo 1 styled. But it's not truly, like, a mirror. It's hard to describe. It's hard to say if this is a Diablo clone or not, because it doesn't exactly play like that. But the second game was definitively a copy of Diablo 2. The second game, and it wasn't bad for that, it just wasn't the first game. This first game here has some really rewarding aspects to it, and you just have to keep playing the game and go through the motions, and yeah, I don't know how to describe it. I'm talking about a game that's so old, and it's not really comparable to a lot of the new games of today. It's difficult to tell you the gravity of how awesome this was when a lot of people are going to say it isn't, but I love it. It's a great game. So I'm going to end this episode here while I kill this other mini-boss. Actually, I guess he'd be a true boss because he has like an aura, but he's weaker than the bear, so whatever. He just dropped a cudgel. We'll pick it up in case we can sell it. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will catch you in the next episode of Dungeon Siege. If you'd like me to continue playing this, let me know in the comments below. It is a interesting world, and I'm just beginning my adventure. See you later.